Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with John Wilson's new Broadway musical, My Fair Lady. Broadway musical recording. He didn't write the musical. Lerner and Loewe wrote the musical, and it is, of course, one of the most iconic of all the Broadway musicals. It was hit the stage around, 1955, 1956, and it made Julie Andrews' career. Rex Harrison, of course, was famously talking his way through Professor Henry Higgins, as has everyone since. And the original cast recording, which is this thing, has always been in print since 1956. It was supposedly, the first million-seller album or something. It was unbelievably, phenomenally successful, as was the 1964 film starring Audrey Hepburn and Rex Harrison, but with Marni Nixon singing the role of Eliza Doolittle, because Audrey Hepburn, who actually could sing somewhat, it was thought that she wasn't good enough, and Marni Nixon was fabulous. She was absolutely marvelous. So, of course, it doesn't say so anywhere here, by the way. It does inside. It says Audrey Hepburn is Eliza Doolittle, sung by Marni Nixon. Well, if you have an original cast recording of all the songs, who do you think's doing most of the work there, right? Anyway, that's the way they did it. But, wow. What is the issue with making a new recording of My Fair Lady? Well, I think this is a wonderful production, and everyone should have it, this new Chandos recording. It's really excellent. It's certainly on the same level as, Carousel and Oklahoma, the two previous releases in this series, which I hope will go on forever. I really do. However, there's always a however. The original cast of My Fair Lady was so perfectly done. Harrison was Professor Henry Higgins. Julie Andrews was a fabulous Eliza Doolittle. Other people, of course, have taken all of these roles. Famous people, excellent people, in subsequent revivals. So it's not like they own them. But if you grew up with the piece, with these recordings particularly, hearing this newcomer, you may have some qualms. And I just think it's only fair to point that out. Let us talk about the casting, and then we'll basically make the case for why you should have this anyway. Whether you have qualms or not doesn't really matter. And that's where, Wilson and his team have been very, very smart, because they know that this is a musical where the main roles are indelibly associated with certain great singing actors. They just were. So as Eliza Doolittle, we have Scarlett Strallen. She's excellent. She really is. She inflects her words. She's into the role. She manages her transformation very, very well. The voice strikes me as just a touch thin, possibly a touch thin. It's actually kind of funny. It's a difficult role in that sense, because you want it to be kind of squally at the beginning, but then as she transforms, you want a more rounded, buttery tone. And she doesn't quite have that rounded, buttery tone, but she sings it really, really well. I mean, the way she launches into Show Me and makes every single word crystal clear at Wilson's considerably zippy tempo, very, very well done. Really well done. So I props to her. She does an excellent job. She's not Julie Andrews. Big deal. Who is? So then we've got, let's see, Henry Higgins is Jamie Parker. Okay, this is the killer role, isn't it? Because nobody is going to speak their way through it like Rex Harrison. And John Wilson in the booklet notes here, of which there's an extensive interview, as there usually is, where artists get to talk about how fabulous they are. He makes the point that the role was written for Harrison, who they knew couldn't sing. And so they gave him one of those parlando, buffo roles, effectively, that you find in, operetta and whatnot. And so it should not be completely sung all the way through. And I agree with that. I agree with that totally. The problem is no one's going to talk exactly like Rex Harrison talks. But I have to say, Jamie Parker does an awfully good job of it. He really does. I have no qualms about his handling of the role. He does it very, very well. One qualm. I would have liked a little more singing. Just a little more, because you can get as much talking as you want, do as much of that as you like. But if you do have a voice, you should use it. You should use it at nodal points, which he does, but I think he could be a little more bountiful in his singing. That's just my feeling. Malcolm Sinclair is a first-class Colonel Pickering. He's very good, and you did it. As Alan Armstrong is Doolittle Pear, Eliza's dad, and he's very good too. I mean, we had who was in the original cast. He was absolutely fantastically, fabulously marvelous. Was it Stanley Holloway? I think so. But wow, we have some really fine character actors. But he's as good as any of them, and everyone else is fine. I mean, they really are. Oh, it's Freddie. Pardon me. We have to do Freddie. Freddie is kind of like Don Ottavio, right? And Don Giovanni, he's got all this atrociously difficult music to sing as a high tenor, but nobody cares about him. It's one of those parts. It's very frustrating, isn't it? But yes, but it's Lawrence Kilsby, and he's got a very, very good voice, and he sings in an appropriately operatic manner. On the Street Where You Live is delightful. And as an ensemble, the actors all work together really well. The Rain in Spain is marvelous. And it's all really good. So I have no problem with that. The real reason to get this, though, above and beyond the excellence of the singing and the general conception, is that you get the whole musical. I mean, these original cast recordings run to, 48 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. The later reissues, they add some bonus material and whatnot. But here you've got 90 some odd minutes of music. And you want all of it. You want all of it because these musicals in the 50s were known for being integrated Gesamtkunstwerke. They were operas. They were really well put together musical entities, and there was a lot of stuff written. They include appendices of things that got cut, different versions. Okay, that's all right. That's nice to have, but to listen to the whole thing, soup to nuts, from beginning to end, with all the entr'acte music and the complete embassy ball scene, and all of the choral bits and the ensemble things, which are wonderful. I mean, wonderfully, wonderfully written, and you hear very little of them. You just get the main tunes in the original cast recording, but here you do get it all, and you realize just how well assembled the whole thing is. All of the reprises in Act 2 of all of the numbers in Act 1. It's important. It's important as a document. It's musically rewarding, which is the most important thing of all. To have all of the music in its original orchestrations, really, really a labor of love and a wonderful thing to own. So, yeah, I mean, it's self-recommending, isn't it? At the end of the day, it really is. Get it while it's in print. Get it while you can. You're not going to want to miss it. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.